everyone to the Up and About podcast. I am your host, Isabel, and we are going to talk about relationships, wealth, wellness, and personal growth. Today, we need to talk about pivoting careers, embracing failure, and taking risks, especially in your early to mid-20s. Listen, 10 years ago, if you asked me what I wanted to do, I would have said something along the lines of doing it all, as in I wanted to be a makeup artist, a hairstylist, a nurse, a psychologist, a cardiologist, a stylist, a taekwondo instructor. I would have said everything and anything. And at the time, I did really mean it. In university, when I started taking my career seriously, I thought I would do something creative. Something along the lines of being a creative director or a designer, being a spokesperson, being in media. That has always been my jam. And present day, admittedly, I do all of those things as a businesswoman and as an entrepreneur, but it really always was not like this. Change is inevitable. As you grow and expand, you're going to learn new things, you're going to find new things that you love. And in your early to mid-20s, that is the time to take the biggest risks. Personally, one of my mantras is to be married to the vision and the mission and the values. But the way that you get there can be completely flexible. I was 19 when I decided I wanted to take entrepreneurship seriously, and the first iteration of my business was a social media management agency that helped solve the problem of young creatives being paid for their work. My university career, I had so many changes, so many pivot points, so many business ideas that I did with friends that ended up happening but not really going through. A lot of failed ideas, and the lessons that I learned throughout the entire journey made it completely worth it. When you're young, you typically don't have any crazy commitments other than probably student loans, probably university, but you don't have any massive bills to pay. So there's no better time starting your own business and taking as many risks as you can at this age. In my personal experience, the fastest way you can earn the most amount of money and have a higher income potential is through having high value skills. These skills require specific knowledge and experience that only come through repetition and doing things over and over again. Not only do high value skills help you stand out, but it also helps you pivot from different industries as long as you have a great knowledge base and foundation for them. These are the skills that solve valuable problems for companies, and to have a solution to these companies' problems makes you indispensable. Some high-value skills that can be across all industries include data analysis, software and web development, user experience, project management, account management, content creation, sales, the huge umbrella of digital marketing such as copywriting, SEO, email marketing, paid ads. Whatever industry that you're in, these skills can be transferable. You can also typically take a course on Coursera and earn a certificate on top of your degree, or just take the Coursera course and let your portfolio speak for you. Now, the cool thing about taking those risks and becoming a solopreneur and starting that first business that you've always wanted to do is that typically you're the person that wears all the hats. So you will learn all of these skills when you do become a business owner. And whether or not you decide to take that business seriously and scale it, or whether or not you want to do it on the side, these skills will be transferable for you in terms of career pivots. I mentioned how I started my first agency when I was 19. I was probably just entering my third year of university, and when I did graduate in 2020, I was 22 years old and I was offered a position in a corporation. It was an 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. graphic design and marketing position at a fashion company. And I personally never thought that I would work a corporate job, but I wanted to have the experience and wanted to learn new skills as well. I ended up being hired because of my experience with entrepreneurship and being client-facing and also developing my personal brand, which is what made me stand out against other candidates that applied for the same position. I am grateful for the experience of working corporate for a very short amount of time. I was there not even 3 months. So I did learn so much about the fashion industry, the behind the scenes of product buying, how they market multi-million-dollar products. And overall, it was so fascinating learning about the technology and the systems that went behind creating a multi-million-dollar corporation fashion company. In fact, I learned so much about systems that I implemented it at my business at the time, and that made me leave my corporate job to pursue entrepreneurship. I knew it was time to leave my corporate job when I was making 3 times more my monthly salary. At this point in time, I had a business partner with my best friend called In Communications. In the lifespan of my entrepreneurship journey, it was probably my 5th venture, whereas the other 4 I learned just became more of a hobby. It consisted of one workshop company, one events company, one networking company, as well as my first social media agency. With every experience you have, the more resilience you'll also have. It's not necessarily that things become easier, it's just that your tolerance and your resilience for overcoming uncertainty becomes stronger, and you start becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, as well as you start solving problems that you've never encountered before, but it becomes so much fun, especially when you love doing what you do. Embracing uncertainty is just so powerful because it leads you to so many new opportunities. It lets you build relationships, and it lets you be in rooms with people you thought you'd never be able to meet. What ends up really happening is that you take a chance on yourself, and you bet on yourself, and you bet on your success. When you become your number one cheerleader, failure really isn't scary. It becomes something that you learn to be okay with, and you accept as a learning and pivoting point in your story. Literally character development, literally doing it for the plot. Of course, not gonna lie, there are definitely times where fear is very prevalent, because fast forward, quickly realize that being a career woman is honestly not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. Women are told that we can be anything we want and do everything we want, but the truth is we can't always have it at the same time. Yes, we can have everything we want, but definitely not at the same time, especially if you want to prioritize having a family. With the success and the fast growth of In Communications, I realized my vision for my future was different than my business partners. And that was really hard to experience because we're best friends, and that was my sister. Ultimately, I came to the conclusion that letting go of the business made a lot more sense for our friendship and to prioritize our friendship first. But also, having two different visions for our lives was something that we both came to accept. There's a saying that my dad says to me. He says, you need to embrace your differences as strengths. And in this scenario, that is exactly what happened. Having a fast-growing agency is so exciting, but it really consumes so much of your life. I found myself worrying a lot. I found myself being in a place of self-doubt multiple days. It was almost to the point of burning out. I was so scared of letting go of this baby and this business that we built together. Ultimately, entrepreneurship is truly a self-discovery journey, and honestly, isn't anything. I learned that it was okay to want to have a business that suited my lifestyle, and as an introverted woman, it's very hard to constantly be on or client-facing, networking, meeting new people every single week. I learned if I wanted to stay an entrepreneur and also slowly move towards the family life, I needed to build a business that didn't require me to spend too much time constantly meeting new people and servicing them. I needed a business that would help me free up my time, allow me to be flexible, allow me to relax, and would run perfectly even when I'm not there to manage it. Even though I wasn't sure what I was going to build after I left the agency, I really knew and felt in my gut that it was the right move and it was right for me. And so I let it go and I built something new. All this goes to show is that adapting and change is, again, inevitable. Taking risks and building something new takes time, but honestly, the time will pass anyways. I remember having a lot of anxiety over what would be my next step in my career, especially after leaving something so established. And to this day, I need to remind myself that the future doesn't exist and you can't really do anything about the past because it's already happened. What you can really do is focus on the present, because the present is really the only moment you have control over. Learning how to ground myself and be present has really been game-changing for my anxiety, and we're definitely going to talk about managing anxiety on this podcast in the next episode. The most amazing part about knowledge is being able to start something from scratch again, and it'll take less time because you've already done the work in the first place. From being a co-founder to an established lifestyle agency, I decided to pivot into the tech company and own a user experience design agency instead. We're a pretty small team, and at one point I did employ my brother, so it all happened in divine timing the way that it was meant to be, despite the fear of pivoting again and the anxiety of starting a new business again and taking a risk on an industry that I've never worked in before. At this stage of my life, I'm definitely prioritizing my relationships and my family and my loved ones over my career. And with strategic planning, you can also design your life and your money to work for you based on your timeline of goals and timeline of your priorities. Pivoting from go hustle culture to more of a slow-paced life has been one of the most amazing pivots for my mental health and my balance. As you grow and evolve as a woman and as a human, it's so important to seek guidance and support during these times of your life. For me, pivoting from a stressful and career-focused lifestyle to a slower-paced, more family-centered lifestyle was a goal that me and Josh, my long-term boyfriend, and I have set together. He is such a strong and integral part of my support system and even taught me so much about scaling systems, creating systems, being a great business owner, a more efficient entrepreneur, and investing in myself, in addition to investing in assets that will passively grow over time. Additionally, him being such a hard worker and amazing provider has alleviated so much financial stress on me. I'm so well taken care of, and it just goes to show the importance of how a support system can truly change your life, especially if this is a goal that you want to work on with your partner. As we transition into our mid to late 20s and start preparing for marriages and children and family planning, it is so important to have these conversations with your partner and seek guidance from others who have also pivoted in major ways. It could be graduating from university, it could be going back to university, it could be being in a new industry, it could be fully diving into entrepreneurship, it could be family planning or even planning for a second or third child. It could be moving across the world, moving across the country. Whatever the pivot is, whatever the risk is, and whatever the fear of failure is, don't forget to celebrate your successes and milestones. Because when your gut tells you that it's time to go, that it's time to move, that it's time to change, 100% of the time, you're probably right. And a year from now, you're going to look back and thank yourself. I encourage you to do some visualization exercises in the morning or before you go to bed tonight, and envision your life 5 to 10 years from now and ask yourself, is this what my future me would do? Is this taking a step forward to the woman that I want to be? When I look back at all the risks that I've taken, I've always regretted not doing it earlier, and I've never regretted not taking that pivot. So listen to that gut feeling. I know it could be hard, but I believe in you. I'm curious to see what you pivot into, and just know that there's always somebody willing to help you on the other side. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you guys next week. I love you guys so much, and I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.